Disclaimer: the content of this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice for any medical condition they may have, and should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions. And now...
Yeah, we don't want to do anything to scare your children. That's the last thing we want to do. We don't want to scare anybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ben and Amy, the Heavy Truth.
Hi, that's right. Keep cheering for us.
Keep cheering. All right, so
Welcome back.
Yes, welcome back. It feels like it's been forever since I talked with you, seen you. How are things? What's new? What's exciting?
Things are great. Things are going good. I know we talked about our trip last time, which was
that was so much fun.
so fun. I want to go, I'm trying to plan my next trip. It's fun just to get out and unwind. Winter here soon.
Yes.
How about you? Anything exciting?
Let me see what's new and exciting. I got a new car.
Yes.
I was excited. So I got that yesterday, picked that up. And now I feel fancy again. Not that I didn't feel fancy in my previous car, but other than that,
It's like a Volkswagen Beetle.
yes, that's exactly what it is. Exactly that, a Volkswagen Beetle.
Has some flowers in there?
In yellow with a flower in it.
Right.
And those of you that have that, don't write me back saying blah, blah, blah. He's got, no, I'm not making fun of it. No, it is, not was, unless it's now been stolen out of your garage in this sketch area, maybe. But thankfully the garage door is closed. No, it is a 2024 Honda CR-V EXL. So,
It's classy.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
very
know,
nice.
Us gays got to keep it classy.
Yes.
High end. What is that? Who are those high end gays? Yeah, high end gays.
Yeah.
Right.
Great show.
So our trip to San Antonio. Didn't you say you had a shout out that you wanted to reach out to someone?
Well, yeah, it's funny because this episode of The Heavy Truth, we're going to be talking about fad diets and the myths of fad diets. And we had this wonderful Uber driver that when he found out that we were here in San Antonio doing an obesity conference, he's like, "Oh, I'm I'm on social media too, and I'm a blogger." He goes, "But I'm completely opposite of what you guys are promoting." He goes, I go and check food, and I eat a lot of food.
We like food.
That's what I said. I'm like, we like food too. Where's the best place to go? So he actually was the one who told us what barbecue to go to. But anyway, I'm shout out to heavyweight champion of DA World. You were great, and the barbecue that you recommended was fantastic.
And that's him on what? TikTok?
Yeah.
On TikTok. Heavyweight champion of the world.
Nice,
Nice.
Facebook. I think he's on all social, Instagram, I think for sure. But yeah, follow him. He has great suggestions as to where to go and what's great to eat where, and he had a lot of great insight for where we were.
Awesome.
So
And he follows us, and we follow him. So you know what? Just because we talk about obesity doesn't mean we don't talk about food, because let's be realistic. We still have to eat and learn to eat and eat well, no matter what we enjoy, right? And that's the whole point of some of these fad diets we're going to talk about. And some of these diets, some of you listening may not have ever heard of. But, me and Amy being like early 20s, it's, we have to research these things too. Why do you laugh? Why do you laugh? Yeah.
That's right.
Barely 20. Like, I know we were in San Antonio, and I think I had just been able to legally drink. So
yeah, getting carded all the time.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They're like, "Is that your mom?" And I was like, "No, that's my friend Amy." But
Nice.
So what's your opinion on fad diets? Tell me what do you think?
Well, I'm going to be totally honest. There's a bunch that I have tried myself in the past,
No.
Yeah, right? Is that a shocker?
So shocked, Ma. I'm Amy.
Right. Whatever. I got that. I think, we'll name a few, like for me, some of the diets that I had tried in the past that maybe I had some success, maybe I didn't.
Did you try these diets because a friend told you, something you saw as seen on TV at Walgreens?
No, they were just, they were the best and the latest and greatest of, how you're going to lose a quick, 20 pounds or 30 pounds, right?
Right.
And everyone's like, oh, yeah, I can do that. Anyone can do anything for a short amount of time, but sustainability-wise, probably one of the only ones that sustainably that I was able to lose weight on and keep it off for a little bit of time would have been like a Weight Watchers type thing. And again, that's, really eating really what you want in moderation, as long as you're within your point system,
Right. Right. They were right. Point system, teaching you accountability, teaching you tracking, which is helping you accountable. The group sessions, like we talked about in our last podcast, in order to, you were basically with your peers at these meetings talking about what's working for them, what struggles do they have, right? So yeah, I agree that seems and seemed at the time very sustainable, and it has been sustainable for many people, right? You become lifetime member when you reach your goal weight, and
the HCG was another one, and I know we talked about earlier. You weren't really super familiar with that one, but that was able. I did lose a decent amount on HCG as well, but that is such a super low calorie diet.
Yes, it's like what, 500 to 800 calories split into 2 meals or something in a day.
Yeah, but the HCG that you take helps with hunger suppression. So really you're not hungry, but you have to think about it. I mean, you're really starving yourself technically. I never felt hungry, but I mean, I probably lost about 40 pounds. Well, yeah, probably doing that, 40 pounds. But again, once you stop doing it, that's what happens. You just...
Yeah, I think the word diet to many people has a bad connotation, right? It's something you do, I'm going to go on a diet. And then the thought of their mind is when they get to that weight, whatever it is, whether they're losing weight to go to a wedding, fit into a dress, go to their class reunion, or, to be healthy, whatever they think to lose weight. It feels like when they get there, then they stop that diet, right? And then people will gain the weight back and then some, and myself included, right? Like, you talked about a couple that was like that for you. I did Weight Watchers. I went to the meetings and I was successful on that. And when I fell off of Weight Watchers, I say fell off because, I stopped doing it. I knew what to do. So I feel like I didn't have to go anymore. And then I gained the weight back. And I did a few of the other fun ones too. Like everyone saw Richard Simmons running around in his, red tank top and striped shorts and permed hair yelling on TV, right? I bought the Sweating to the Oldies, back then the VCR tapes, and Sweat to the Oldies in my basement on the VCR. He had one time it was almost like an exchange kind of diet. It was called Deal-A-Meal. You put, it came in like a little folder and there were some cards on one side and the cards would tell you, I'm off the top of my head, I'm kind of trying to remember, like one vegetable, one meat, blah, blah, blah. And whenever you ate, you would move the cards from one side of the little packet to the other. And when you were out of cards on the one side of the packet, you were done eating for the day. So it was a Deal-A-Meal. Like you used so many green cards, so many blue cards for this meal, and you would have so many of these other cards left. So it's kind of like an exchange program with carbs, proteins, meats, fruits,
I kind of like that
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so it was, I was successful on it. I lost quite a bit of weight, and then I gained the weight back and then some. But there are a lot of fad diets out there on the market, right? That we keep seeing on TV. What's that? So like paleo, that's another big one. People, what I've been told, for what research I've done on that, that's based on what humans ate in the Paleolithic era. By the way, being a minor in history, that was 2.5 million years to 10,000 million years ago when we were a system of hunters and gatherers. So they were eating, looking at that it's all lots of seeds, berries, twigs, twigs. Some meat, right? But I mean,
maybe some twigs.
Maybe some twigs.
Yeah.
Berries. And so again, if 25 million years, or whatever, 2.5 million years ago, I probably wasn't worrying about being skinny. I was probably worrying about like not being eaten by a dinosaur or something, right? I'm imagining. But I mean, that again, to me, doesn't seem sustainable. And maybe there are people that can sustain it, Atkins, again, popular from the 1960s on. Here again, low carb eating. And you see how the Atkins things out, right? Atkins bars, Atkins bowls, Atkins meals, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I mean,
Dr. Atkins fell down, banged his head, and died. Did you know that? That's
no,
how
I
he died.
didn't. I
Fell
didn't
down.
know that.
Fell down on the sidewalk, banged his head. Dead.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't Rob Lowe a spokesman for him now?
Yes, Rob Lowe is now. Okay, that man aged pretty well. Let me tell you. Okay, so
Yeah,
I'm not sure if it's just his Atkins, but
yeah, he's fun to watch.
yeah,
Yeah.
And Zone, Amy, what's
So-
Zone?
So
Diet?
the zone diet is similar actually to what I suggest with my patients, and that's a percentage of protein, fat, and carbohydrates.
Okay.
So it's a percentage based. You're going to be having 30% protein, 40% carbs, 30% fat, and of course it's the healthy carbs. Of course, the complex carbs. That's what we want people to be eating.
So not mashed potatoes and mac and cheese.
No.
Okay.
No, not grilled cheese or Danishes or anything like that.
Well, I mean, in moderation.
In moderation.
Yeah. Awesome. But so what I did look at is that diet at one point when it was first brought about. So its aim was to reduce inflammation and encourage healthy insulin levels, right? So that's what you just talked about.
Yeah.
You're monitoring your carbs, you're monitoring your protein, and you're monitoring your fats, right?
Absolutely. We know that sugar and, high sugar diet, high carb diet is definitely a correlation to inflammation. It's an inflammatory process. Obesity as a disease is an inflammatory process. So anytime we can get that inflammation down with what you put in your mouth,
Right.
that's my goal.
Diet
for patients.
controlled.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And some of the other ones, juice cleanse.
Juice cleanses.
Yes. Okay, so I've done juice cleanses, and I'm throwing that out there. And okay, that's all I'm going to say there. Because you know what? With that juice cleanse, while I lost a bit of weight, and I'm being a little graphic, I had to buy some Preparation H because all of that citric acid,
People don't.
didn't work.
Yep. People
for
don't.
me.
Yep. You
But
don't
let
get
me
that.
tell you, I lost some weight from it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you get completely cleaned out, and you're in the bathroom all the time, but again, you're not losing
Temporary.
real weight. You're not losing fat.
No.
Grapefruit diet, cabbage soup diet,
Gross.
things like that. It's just, yeah. I mean, we just
Apple
know.
cider vinegar. I'm sorry, that's a salad dressing. Thanks, though.
Yeah, and that program actually is no calorie counting. It's just that you're supposed to drink this apple cider vinegar concoction a couple times a day, and that's supposed to help. Now there is some statistical data behind the fact that apple cider does help with insulin levels, but
Yes.
come on, who's going to want to just drink apple cider vinegar?
Yeah. Apple cider, sure.
Right.
It's the fall, right? We all want to have apple cider donuts. For those of us that live in the Midwest, understand that, right? When you go to the pumpkin farm, hayride, go to the corn maze, have apple cider vinegar, and not apple cider vinegar.
Right,
Apple
no.
cider, not apple cider vinegar, apple cider donuts. A little booze in that is always good too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Sounds good,
Absolutely.
actually. But I mean, bottom line is that, fad diets are they're extreme and they're restrictive and they promise these dramatic results and they just don't yield them, right? And
Right.
they're just not sustainable. Vitamin deficiencies
Yes.
come along with them. And of course, the metabolic impact that they have when you do that. Every time you diet, you just you're taking like 10 steps back,
Yeah.
with
Having to sit
your,
on a cushion because you juice cleanse and got a hemorrhoid. Absolutely.
yeah.
Speaking from experience with that, yes. So, with these fad diets, and we see patients that come in and they say to us, "Oh, I saw Golo on TV. What are your thoughts?" I haven't seen anything successful with that. Keto's another one, right? I mean, a good diet. Again, at one time it was for patients who had seizure-like disorders, and that's where that diet first came about when it was first made.
The keto diet?
The keto diet was for patients that had seizure-like disorders, and that helped keeping the
For
seizure.
What? How? Do you know?
Offhand, I cannot tell you that, but it was a fact that I read, and I'm sure you're going to look that up quickly and tell me, but it was a fact that I had come across when, where it was first developed. It helped patients that had seizures. And I know people that have been on keto. I have family members. I myself have been on keto. And to me, it didn't feel like it was sustainable. I know one person who's been on it, that it was sustainable for him. He also had weight loss surgery and then used keto in order to get to his goal, and then went on to promote a keto business. So it was almost like he had to stay with keto in order to keep the business going, kind of thing.
Okay.
To me, I got a kidney stone, and there are some there's some evidence that say you can get kidney stones from keto, and of course then some that say you can't. But I got one, so I only could correlate that with what had changed in my life, and it was the fact that I had been on keto.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Well, absolutely. And again, that's not something that, if you want to stay in true ketosis, you have to be on that meal plan the entire time. You can't have your cheat day.
Yes, that's dirty keto, right? Isn't that what they call it?
Yeah, that is. Yeah, yeah.
But
lazy keto.
Lazy keto, yes. But then you're not really doing keto.
Right, absolutely. Let's see here. It says it's believed that the metabolic changes induced by the diet may have an anti-seizure effect. So I wasn't doubting you. I just had never heard that before.
I mean, yes, you were doubting me.
This time I wasn't doubting you.
You like to check my facts.
I like to fact check you all the time.
Because you don't believe my facts sometimes.
And because I like to, prove you wrong sometimes.
And you haven't yet.
No, but I wasn't doubting you on this one.
But you were. Anyway, that just is another feather in my cap. So we can cross that off your list of doubts of Ben's known facts. Okay. And you're welcome, Amy.
All right.
For that teachable moment. So with these diets, they talk about, all these diets talk about eating, right? Are all calories equal?
No.
What do you think?
No, they are. All calories are not equal. We have certain different calorie counts in protein. We have fats, we have carbs, and they all have different, caloric numbers associated with them.
Right.
So, calories are not equal. Different foods have different effects on hunger, hormones, and our health.
Yeah.
So an example of that is, first thing that we always talk about is protein.
Right. Protein forward.
Mm-hmm. Protein forward. Protein is great because it is the lowest of, not the lowest actually. Protein is 4 kilocalories per gram. And also with protein, it's harder for our body to digest protein. So it has to work harder to do that,
Yes.
So when you are consuming protein, you also, in essence, are, boosting your metabolism because it has that theonormic effect that there's all this energy being spent and work to actually
What's that word again? Theonormic? Oh, look at you with your big words today.
I think patients don't understand, or just people in general, the importance of having protein in your diet. Okay, whether that's an animal source or whether that's a plant-based protein, which is a little bit harder to get your proteins in.
Yes.
But
right, because I think people have that, when you hear protein, people always are like, oh my God, meat. And you're right, it's not always that.
It's not always that. But, the thing is, you burn more calories when you are eating protein, so, and that is just something that I try to really get to resonate with my patients, just that the importance of getting their protein totals up, because, we'll talk further, in future episodes, but it's important when patients are losing weight at a high rate of speed, whether it's on their own or whether it's with the help of some sort of medication, if they're not getting their protein in, then they start to lose that muscle mass.
Yes, and it's very important that you get those lean proteins in because you don't want to lose that muscle mass. And protein helps reduce your appetite, right? Because it keeps us, like you said, not only it keeps us full longer, but it increases the hormones, the GLP-1, the peptides, and things like that keep us, that reduces the level of our hunger, ghrelin. And then it helps us automatically reduce, right, our caloric intake. So it's important. I know with many of my patients, and myself included, I try to make sure that we're getting in a minimum of 80 grams of protein a day, right? Now, that changes depending on your activity level, right? You see those bodybuilders and stuff that, and I always tell my patients, you go to the gym and you hear bodybuilders and they're like, oh, I'm going to go home and eat 12 pieces of chicken. 12 chicken breasts, whatever. Well, their body is burning it differently, right? And their body needs that for muscle restoration and all of that. But you're right. And if your protein levels fall too low, then we can also, there's a lot of things that can happen, right? You have those patients that you feel like are doing great on these diets, they're losing weight, you hear about that. And it's the same thing with bariatric patients, right? We stress the importance of proteins because they're coming like, my hair is falling out and blah, blah, blah. Protein's too low.
Protein's too low. And like you said, with the protein numbers, everybody's different as to how much protein that they need. And I think, we have to be careful with people who have chronic kidney disease.
Yes, I was just going to say that.
And then, protein totals, if, there is definitely a calculation associated with it, but if somebody is asking for suggestions, and let's say their protein numbers technically should be closer to, let's say, 110, let's just say. But they're only consuming maybe 40 grams of protein now.
Yeah, I'm not going to be like, get to 110.
Yeah, so we kind of work our way up.
Yes,
for
absolutely.
Sure. But protein also reduces cravings, and like I said, it preserves muscle mass, so we don't have that sarcopenia, which is a big talk now, with people just losing weight, but they're just really, they may be thin, but they're also very unhealthy. So we don't want that. We have to be aware of that as clinicians.
Yeah. And then there is a recommended daily intake of protein. If people are always wondering, like, how much protein should I have, right?
Yeah. They want to know what the daily recommend. Now I use a couple different calculators, and
same.
that's kind of based off of, and I work more of a 40% intake of carbohydrates, 30%, 30 to 35% of protein, and then 25% fat,
Same.
So, that's all different. But I think it just depends on the patient and what they're looking for and where they are, what their goals are. And, carbohydrates, that could be 2 or 3, 4 episodes in itself, but carbohydrates are important. I don't want people to think that carbohydrates are scary. They're not scary. They're needed. They're essential for our brain function.
Absolutely.
But they're not all created equal. So we have to make sure that we're choosing the right carbohydrates to be eating.
Like that day back in San Antonio where you thought it would be a good idea for you to make me a latte. Maybe you should have had some more carbs for that brain function, but realizing that wasn't going to be successful. Right? Yeah.
Well, there was fruit, so you could have helped yourself some fruit, instead of dictating that you needed coffee right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And different carbs are burned differently in our body, right? And so people need to realize when we say carbs, people immediately think carbs. They always start thinking
chips,
like chips. Chips.
Candy, something like that. And that's not what we're saying, and that's when the education component comes in. And that's why a lot of times education is so important, and the time that is needed is not always there. And my goal is to teach people, right, what they're supposed to be doing. And a carb, carb's not the same as a simple carb versus a complex carb. And a lot of people don't know what that means, right?
Absolutely.
But then we have fat, fat again, back in the day, when you were a wee toddler, I'm
Yes,
sure.
barely
Toddler. I'm sure part of the diet craze was, low fat.
Fat-free.
Fat-free. And,
Have these chips with Olestra in them.
right. And some cardiologists, some old school cardiologists, and even some primary, they're like older, okay?
Older than 21 like myself, 22. Yeah.
They still say, we'll just do low-fat diet, and this and that. And that's not it. It's not about that. It is about the carbohydrates, about the sugar content. That's what I see successful with the patients. That's what's sustainable.
Yeah, fats are not the enemy.
Right.
Healthy fats. Same thing with sugars. Our body needs some sugar. We're not saying go home and drink, 6 Mountain Dews.
Yeah, we don't want you drinking your calories. I always
Yes.
say that don't drink your calories because I'd rather you be eating and feeling full.
Or
versus,
make your friends lattes.
That was Splenda or stevia or maybe it was monk fruit.
Maybe. Oh, monk fruit sweetener is good. But anyway. Yeah, and so, but the whole thing behind that is the thought that none of these things are scary, right? We should be eating. Remember that old myth, and I talk to my patients. Of course, this is before my time, being barely 21. That clean plate club, finish everything that's on your plate. Those are myths. Eat till you're satisfied, right? You don't need to finish everything that's on the plate. Losing weight's not a linear process, right? Can supplements help to lose weight? I mean, look at those on the market. I think this is a myth as well.
What about this one? To reduce obesity, just eat less and move more. How many times do you hear people say that they've been told that? Eat less and move more.
Yeah, I think but I mean, that goes hand in hand with that. When I was at my heaviest weight, people would always, the myth is that obese people are lazy. And if you would just eat a salad, I love salads. And I played tennis all through high school and college in my right now, current, as I just graduated from college, right? Being barely 21, I played tennis all through high school and college. So and ate salads. So, that's all BS, right? Or that's what I'm talking about. The people are being lazy. That's a myth. That is a complete myth. And lots of cardio. People always believe, right? You should do all the cardio to burn the fat.
Right.
Of course, we always say start somewhere. Start with walking. Absolutely. Does cardio burn fat? Yes, but that's not the only way. Like you said, we need that lean muscle mass.
Yeah, we need to focus on strength and resistance training and work those our skeletal muscles, which is the huge organ system in our body, and that's really, that's the takeaway too for me when we were listening to the fitness part of our conference too, is they were talking about the importance of strength and resistance training and working those muscles. So again, if I have a non-exerciser, I'm going to say, hey, let's start somewhere, let's do something, but I'm always focusing on strength and resistance. And even if it's a 10 or 15 minute little sit and be fit, type exercise, so you're sitting there and you're watching a video and you're moving around, it's less threatening than standing in front of, a thin, guy or girl on the video and they're just, rocking it out and this person hasn't exercised in years, right?
Yeah.
So it can't be intimidating. It has to be something people don't mind doing.
Right, absolutely. So I'm going to leave you with a tidbit. 70-80% of weight loss, or weight gain for that matter, has to do with what you put into your mouth, right? Where 20 to 30% is exercise. And so what is the bottom line, Amy?
The bottom line is really, when it comes to weight loss, sustainability is really the key to long-term success.
The key.
You have to find something that's going to be able to be sustained.
Right.
And, it is not a diet.
Not a diet. Diet is a negative connotation.
It sure does. So we have to make positive lifestyle changes, even if it's little by little, so it becomes a habit. And that is what needs to change.
Yeah. And the individual needs to want to do it. Right?
Yes.
Everybody and their mother can tell you, lose weight, lose weight, lose weight, lose weight. But until you want to do it, it's not going to happen.
Absolutely.
Right? All right. Well, I think we reached the end of our topic today.
I think so,
And what
too.
did we learn? Amy can't make lattes.
Ben just graduated high school.
Yes, thank you.
He has a
College.
yellow beetle bug.
Yeah.
And we can eat.
Sustainability is key.
Well, it is. Yeah. And you can
Everything
have
you can eat, anything in moderation.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So until next time.
Till next time, follow us, theheavytruth.net. We always have very interesting commentary and digs on one another.
Thanks for that, Mike.
So until next time, you guys have a great couple weeks and reach out if you have any questions or comments.
Yeah, and we will talk to you soon. Take care, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.